I started having to speak on the real things. Let me really be a
true life story.
Exactly. So I had to start writing about my life here. That's when I wrote about my ex. And I said me dating a black guy was seen as something wrong. And, you know, even in other poems, when my first come out poem was A Colored Girl's Tale. And that one was like, it sent a lot of mixed emotions within my community of people. Like colored people that I knew, Esho, Durban.
They started questioning you now.
Yeah, some of them were like, one guy posted on there, because that was the first time I actually picked up the camera and I started to like look and I'm like doing a live stream now. You know, I did it, I was like, I'm gonna be brave. Because I feel like the bravest thing you can do as a creative is write about yourself, perform a piece about yourself. Whether you're acting, whether you're singing, whether you're rapping, it's your story. No one can tell your story better than you. Because you know what you've been through. Your body knows what it's been through. Your mind knows what it's been through.
And the more you say it, that's the more you enjoy it.
Exactly, because it's like, I even forgot about this thing. Hey, this person also tried to hit me, and I went, you know, like all those things come up. So I started writing A Colored Girl's Tale, and it took me almost 2 months to finish that poem. And it was the longest poem I ever wrote in my life so far. Yeah, because it was, how did I write it? I wrote it in a small book, and I have it now. Like, you can't even see the ink anymore. But I kept it for like a memory in my memory box. Because when I wrote A Colored Girl's Tale, I started by saying, I started talking about my physical self. I'm not white, and I'm black. You know, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not even in the middle, but I'm a mixture of many things. So even when you try to speak to me like in Afrikaans, I'm not gonna really respond to you in Afrikaans. I'm gonna respond to you in English. Or if you're gonna respond to me in isiZulu, I might respond to you in that isiZulu, or you'll speak Zulu, I'll speak English. And I never found that a problem or offensive, but some people found it offensive.
Because you couldn't speak Afrikaans?
Yes, especially when I moved to Joburg, I got the biggest culture shock of my life. Because I was like, you don't speak Afrikaans. So where do you come from? I'm like, I come from KZN. Whereabouts? Durban. So KZN, they think Durban. But you're like, no, I come from Esho. Where's Esho? It's a small town.
I don't even know. They know Rich's Bay and Bangladesh.
Exactly. I was like, no, it's a small town just out of Durban, in between Durban and Empangeni. Like, that would be the best way. And eventually, that's how A Colored Girl's Tale came on, where even at the end I said, I'm, Nipume Shoy, and I'm not your typical colored chick. That was my ending line. And I walk off with that. I felt like brave. I'm like, yeah, I did it.
Drop the mic.
I'm telling you, it was a real mic drop moment. And some people were like, yeah, girl, I relate to that, because some people, some colored people from Durban don't speak Afrikaans, and they speak more Zulu than anything else. Like, I'm talking deep. As we're just touching water.
Even Indians in Durban.
Exactly. You get confused. You're like, what's going on? Exactly. So that was what was happening. I had some good responses, but that's when I started realizing there's bad responses too. And I'm not going to be liked with everyone, because there was one guy that said, why do you have to explain who you are to them? Exactly, it's like we are colored. Exactly, it's like, we are colored and we should be proud and we don't have to explain ourselves to anyone, and so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, cool. And a friend of mine was so angry, she wanted to go at him. And I was like, nah, don't. Because we need people like that, because it explains a lot as to where that person is mentally and emotionally. Because as I said, when I moved, not a lot of people met a colored person like me, where I would sit in space.
Most of the colored people they speak Afrikaans.
Yes, they spoke Afrikaans. Even the workmates that I had, the work ladies that I had, it was a black working environment. So everyone, majority was black. I was the only colored person in position in that place. So when they came, they were like, I thought you were a masterant, girl. And my white friend, her name was Nonki. She's from Alex. The other lady, she was from Zim. So it was like, we thought you were one of those ones. I said, no, man. They're like, you hip hop? I'm like, yeah, bring it.
There's a post I saw on Facebook this morning. You see our putu,
Yeah.
the mass putu,
Yes,
the
yes,
fine one.
yes.
This other guy from Joburg, his sutu, is saying, imagine coming back home and you find a pot full of snow pap from a Zulu chief. He's calling it snow pap.
Yeah, I've never call it, like we would normally call it like fine pap.
Fine pap.
And then we've got the other one. Oh, some of us would say it's dry.
Yeah, the fine, the mass one.
Yes, I grew up on that. I grew up climbing the trees, the mango trees, pawpaw trees.
You saw the Josie one is a different story. That's stiff pap.
I don't know when I go there because I learned how to make really good pap from somebody from Zimbabwe.
Wow.
And they make really nice pap. I won't lie, turning minimum porridge into pap. Whereas when I was here, I was like, you just throw into the hot water and do your thing. And now I was like, no, I like it this way, man. I continue to do it the way she showed me. But when I moved there, everything was different. Even black people, they were different to me.
They do everything. It's a different lifestyle.
Because it was worse because I heard somebody say because my boss, my ex-boss's children would say that they were black. So they were mixed, I think, with Xhosa and Zulu, and you know, there's always mixtures there in a household. You'll find them speaking Sotho, Xhosa, Zulu, Venda, all in one household in Joburg, which was new for me. But anyway, the one daughter says, you want a kanda? I said, oh, what? Did this kanda go to university or what? I was in shock. I'm like, what did you say? She repeated herself. I said, no. So I said, no. She said, no, what do you mean? And I laughed. Like, I had that reaction. She just looked at me like I did something wrong. And I'm like, you said what? She says, Kanda. I said, this is not how you say this thing. Where did it come from? I don't know. So I said, where did it come from? And this is not a colored chick. This is not a white child. This is a black child in a black house. So I was like, this Zulu here is different. It's mixed.
It's a fake one. It's like
I'm not going to even comment on that one because I don't want anyone to come for me for that.
It's not the one.
But that was big culture shocks because this is what I was raised. Esho, I knew, even my grandmother said this is Zululand. She didn't even call it Esho. My grandmother was born here. She was raised here. My great-grandparents were born here, raised here. And before that as well, a lot of them had owned land and so on and so forth here. Even when you driving further out, my uncle was actually showing me when I was on my way here in December of where our other family homestead is out there in the hills. I'm like, you see, you are showing me, I won't even remember. But I've been there once or twice when I was small, but no one really goes there anymore. And that's also wrong of us because we should know where we come from. And that is also what brought me back more into writing. I was like, okay, let's talk about Africa.
Wait, before we go into this book, are there any other books you have written before?
No, this was my first.
This was the first book? Okay, let me just show it properly. I'm sure that what do you call this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna catch it. So what inspired the title of this book? It's called Do I Look African Enough? Poetry by Kimberly K.M. Anderson. Okay, before you answer the question, when you guys write books, is it like stories, like chapters of like chapter 1, chapter 2 of chapter 3? How do you like format, draft your books?
For mine, I think also because it's poetry, there's no really set guideline. You do it as per like, even with the format of the writing. Even my publicist was saying, you can even change up your writing and make it look like a flag, and you can do this and you can do that. So there was no set form. So what I did was each poem was like a chapter. So in a normal book, you get the chapters and
because your poems are like 72 pages each poem, right?
That was back in the day, I still do write them in my 72 page. Nothing slaps harder than writing on a book. But the poems had to be condensed. You'll open it up and you'll see.
Okay, wait, there's a nice story before we get into the book you shared. We were speaking earlier on when I asked you, Uti, how do you guys make money in poetry? Because I have a friend whose name is Letu, who travels around the world. And then there's a nice story you shared about the book. Before we get into this book, can you, how did this book come into life?
During COVID, when I started taking on to, the international platforms or like social media platforms, I met my publicist on Instagram, on an Instagram live. I was on some Instagram live, and it's nothing against white people or whatever the case is, but I don't have white friends. I don't really have white friends like that. So she like became my first white friend to come onto like a platform.